This is part 2, episode 22. The demon looked at Xiao Chen with a smile, yet not a smile. He followed behind Xiao Chen unhurriedly. These past 2 days he had been following Xiao Chen closely. He was no longer following him secretly. After a slight hesitation, Xiao Chen held his breath and took large strides into the swamp. A layer of light screen appeared. It protected him and Keek, who was sleeping soundly. He stepped on the muddy ground and forged ahead. The path was filled with dried-up bones. He could occasionally see a few deathly pale moonlight that spilled into the darkness. He finally entered the heart of the swamp. Xiao Chen looked at a pile of bones before him. He felt a chill in his heart. That kind of baleful aura that directly penetrated one's heart was really bizarre. It was like a black flame throbbing on the pile of bones. He knew the 10-meter-tall undead emperor was under that pile of bones. Turning his head to look at the demon, the desire to retreat welled up in Xiao Chen's heart, because the evil spirit clearly knew about this place and yet it wasn't fearful. This was already enough to answer his question. Hehe. Although the demon tried to laugh as gently as possible, it still seemed very gloomy under the dead of the night in this deathly swamp. I think you better fall back, otherwise when the undead emperor come out, the undead miasma it releases might harm you. I haven't greeted this old friend of mine for quite a while already. Let's have a chat about the old times with him today. Xiao Chen was completely speechless. The two of them were actually friends. He silently retreated and felt a bit sorrowful in his heart. It might be futile to find someone on this island capable of restraining this demon. Old friend, I came to see you. The demon lightly waved his hand. Those big pile of bones all floated up and shifted to the other side. The black underworld fog violently surged up from the underground. It was rolling over and over like raging black fireworks. A ghost whistle that made one's scalp feel numb transmitted from the underground. Then the demonic cloud covered up the moon. Endless amount of black fog soared into the sky in an instant. It completely blocked the moonlight that spilled through the branches and leaves of the tall ancient trees. A huge monster appeared from the swamp. Its 10-meter-tall body emitted a baleful aura. Although he was a little far away, and the black fog was lingering around, Xiao Chen could still see the rotten body of the undead emperor, as well as that pair of huge rotten wings. The negative vibe spread far and wide. The terrifying black power assailed the deathly swamp, and the mournful screech sent a chill down people's spine. He was unable to see the head and face. It was hard to guess his emotional state. However, the pressure emitted by him and his power could be felt vividly. This undead emperor might really be capable of defeating the demon, but would they fight? Could he be an angel in his previous life? Xiao Chen thought of something like this. Otherwise, how would it have a pair of wings? But the body was really too huge. Maybe before the Dragon Island was sealed, a big battle took place on this island and the undead emperor might have fallen in that time period. 2 ice-cold rays of light shot towards Xiao Chen like sharp swords. It seemed like the undead emperor wanted to get rid of him. Old friend, relax. Don't lower yourself to his level. It was I who wanted to see you. The demon calmly stood in front of the undead emperor. Its ice-cold gaze shifted direction. The undead emperor and demon walked over to a distant place. It seemed like they really were old friends. Xiao Chen's final hope had been dispelled. However, just after they left for a short period of time, an explosive sound suddenly echoed from the distant swamp. That was the sound of forest tree getting crushed. Inexhaustible cloudy fog spread far and wide. A violent energy fluctuation rolled over and over. The undead emperor and demon exchanged blows. Xiao Chen chose to get away from the swamp immediately. His speed was extremely fast. It was seriously like the wind and lightning. He got away the swamp in almost a moment. That pair of undead brothers actually fought against each other. There's no news better than this. Xiao Chen went to a highland and jumped onto the crown of a 10-meter-tall huge tree to survey the deathly swamp from an elevated position. The inexhaustible cloudy fog rolled over and over. It actually submerged that entire area where the fight took place. It was impossible to see the battle progress. One could tell the intensity of the battle only because of the violent energy fluctuation. When the dense deathly underworld fog rolled westward unceasingly, the original battlefield became visible to naked eyes. It seemed like a meteor had fallen within that 100-meter radius. The ground had sunk down for who knows how many meter. It already turned into a huge hole. It was pitch black and God knows how many meter deep. One could imagine just how powerful was the undead emperor and demon. Not only did they destroy every tangible thing on the ground, even the area itself caved in. There were figures of humans swaying in the distant place. There were still some practitioners at the outer region of the island. This intense battle startled them, but those people retreated at lightning speed after sensing the thick deathly aura. One could tell that they were very careful. The intense battle lasted for a quarter of an hour. Xiao Chen was looking forward to the death of the demon. However, he guessed wrong again. When the underworld fog dissipated, a 300-meter wide hole appeared on the spot. The undead emperor and demon were actually sitting beside the hole as they talked about something. Although he couldn't see clearly, he was still able to feel that kind of atmosphere. They don't seem to be mortal enemy. He could occasionally hear that eerie laughter. The two evil spirits seemed to be hitting it off. How could that be? Xiao Chen remained puzzled even after thinking it over 100 times. The two evil spirits were having a life and death bout just a moment ago, and now they were actually on a friendly term in the blink of an eye. This change of atmosphere was really too fast. Ha ha. I will definitely not forget about you when I break free. We are the closest friend. The demon's hearty laugh transmitted from a distant place. Soon after, the demonic cloud rolled over and over. The undead emperor returned to the underground. A chilly wind brushed past, green leaves fell and withered. The demon appeared on the crown of a huge tree. He was not far away from Xiao Chen. The demon sat on the branch and said, "Have you thought about it carefully? I am already at the limit of my patience. If you can convince the little critter to willingly lend me the sacred tree for 1 year, he too will get a generous reward." Xiao Chen maintained his calm. Would they really be able to get the sacred tree back after giving it to the demon? It seemed like Keek and the sacred tree were inseparable. Do they really have to make a compromise in order to survive? Other than the dragons and those primal beasts on this dragon island, nobody can threaten me. However, the dragons will not do anything to me. And you have seen it yourself, the undead emperor and I are on friendly term. Every time I rebirthed, I will come here to swap pointers with him. He is my greatest ally. Who is he? What kind of person was he? Hearing these, the demon raised his head to look at the bright moon in the sky. He let out an indistinct sigh and said, "I don't even know who am I. How would I know about him? I only know I escaped from the ghost town. And he is a corpse that rotted countless years ago." Speaking until here, the demon actually revealed a distressed expression. It seemed like he was really not an evil spirit, but a pitiful youth. The moonlight was like water, the treetops was quiet, the demon was actually daydreaming. He looked at the bright moon and seemed to be recalling an old memory. He actually shed tears from his pair of eyes unconsciously. The weeping demon seemed so pitiful, he once killing people like scything flax, and yet he had such a weak side. If these were to spread out, nobody would believe it. The demon could be considered handsome, and since he was the only evil spirit capable of escaping from the ghost town, that means there must be something uncommon about him. He probably had a really glorious past, but everything about him had been washed away by the flow of time. Even he himself had no idea who he was. My heart aches when I look at the bright moon in the sky. It feels like I have lost something very precious on a night like this countless years ago. The crystal clear teardrop rolled down the demon's pale cheeks. After a really long time later, he finally wiped the tears. The demon's face spread into a smile and said, "I actually shed tears. I am becoming more and more like a human. Perhaps I am already a human." Soon after, under the moonlight, Xiao Chen and the demon on the treetop sunk into a moment of silence again. After a long time later, the demon said with an ice-cold voice, "I will give you 7 more days." He disappeared from the treetop after saying these. A breeze brushed past lightly. Xiao Chen's long hair danced along with the wind. At this kind of night, he also thought of many things. Looking at the bright moon, he recalled his parents and relatives. He had been at the world of Immortals for a few months already, and yet he was trapped on a desolate dragon island. He spent most of his time striving for survival. How is father and mother doing? Losing this son of theirs, they must have been really sad. He really wanted to return to the human world and made his aged parents grin from ear to ear. He didn't want them to be sad. There was also that girl in his heart. After many years later, would she still remember him? Farewell, my beloved. Let's hope our dreams still exist after many years later. Let's hope that beautiful memory will stay with us forever. Xiao Chen bid farewell to his past. Glistening teardrop actually flashed in his pair of eyes unconsciously. His state of mind was very chaotic. Without any people around, he didn't have to hide his true feeling. He was a flesh and blood human. He also possessed every kind of emotions like the common people. However, he could only bury these feelings deep down in his heart. In the eyes of the practitioners on this dragon island, he was a cold-blooded youth, but who would have known he had this side to him? I really want to return to the human world. Xiao Chen muttered this to himself. A few teardrops finally rolled down on his cheeks, but he suddenly shook his head in that instant to shake off the feeling. He buried that emotion deep down in his heart again. That is impossible at present. The only thing I can do is to make sure I stay alive. He steeled himself and forcefully shook off the sentimental feeling. He began to meditate on the treetop until he fell into a deep sleep. Early morning, the lively birdsong roused Xiao Chen from a deep sleep. Attracted by his secret technique, the worldly essence gathered at surrounding of the treetop. It made the spiritual influence at this place really dense. The multicolored light flickered, even the dazzling morning sun seemed to be comparatively dimmer. Many birds were attracted over, they were flying around him and chirping unceasingly. Xiao Chen began to stretch his muscle. Flutter. 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 The birds were startled and scattered in all directions. Looking at Keek, who was drooling while sleeping soundly, he couldn't help but smile. The little critter was really too cute. It actually slept as peacefully as a little baby, but it would let out a squeak every now and then. It was already pointless to stay at the outer region of the Dragon Island. Xiao Chen brought Keek and returned to the depths of the island. After 2 days, he actually met up with Lawrence, Buddhist Asian and the others. The Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King was accompanying them. As for Yang Qingcheng, her power was sealed and was supervised by the extraordinarily beautiful Rowena. Moreover, there were 20+ people behind them. It seemed like they were following the small group blindly. Xiao Chen, Buddhist Asian and Lawrence cried out in surprise. They quickly rushed over. The 2 young Dragon King also flickered with divine light and rushed over like lightning. They revolved around Xiao Chen and fixed their gaze on Keek like a tiger watching the prey. Are you okay? Lawrence was very concerned and asked. His handsome yet somewhat sickly face made this Void Master possess a unique trait. I am fine. What is going on? Why are you guys here? Xiao Chen looked at him doubtfully. Buddhist Asian said in a low voice, we are looking for Syndicate Dragon King. Right now, all the practitioners on the Dragon Island already know it was you who were stalling the legendary demon. Everyone is really grateful to you. All the people who we can get in touch with on the Dragon Island already moved out. We wanted to find a few more Dragon Kings, summon the divine ship, and leave this island as soon as possible. After a lovely laughter that would hook one's soul, Rowena twisted her snake-like waist and walked over gracefully. At the same time, she pulled the beautiful Yang Qingcheng over. She casted a glance at Xiao Chen shyly and said, seriously, why do you have to be such a show-off? Don't regret it if you can't enjoy this devastatingly beautiful female slave when the time comes. Oh. Yang Qingcheng secretly clenched her silver teeth, but she didn't have any other choice. If her power was not sealed, she really wanted to finish off this extraordinarily beautiful Rowena at once. I have been working hard these past few days. Oh. I have been strictly drilling how to be a woman and qualified slave into her every day. Rowena giggled. It was really like the ripples of the spring water. She was lovely yet enchanting. With a few swishing sound, the 3 skeletons at the back of the crowd rushed over. Qingguang Wang, Yang Lua Wang, and Luanhui Wang were also with these group of people. They got in front of Xiao Chen at high speed and used their skeleton-specific language to greet Xiao Chen. Their jaw kept generating the clack, clack sound. Xiao Chen found out what happened recently from these people. It really seemed like every group of people had been mobilized. Lawrence and Buddhist Asian was found by that woman who was always shrouded in colorful mist. She persuaded them to take the young Dragon Kings to lead the people in search for other Dragon Kings. Because only a Dragon King could understand a Dragon King, with the Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King at their side, there will surely be a gain. According to majority vote, they originally wanted Lawrence and Buddhist Asian to separate and led one group of people respectively. However, after many contradictions, everyone finally agreed to have them stick together. Moreover, they were allowed to bring Rowena and Yang Qingcheng along. In fact, a Dragon King seriously understood the other Dragon Kings. They already found the traces of another Dragon King in this region. They had been planning how to subdue it these past 2 days. I found 2 Dragon Kings at the vicinity of the Dragon's Sacred Mountain, but that place is really too dangerous. There are many dragons and primal beasts, ordinary people won't be able to approach. Xiao Chen passed this information to Lawrence and the others. If they wanted to find 9 Dragon Kings, they eventually had to venture that region after all. Are you talking about the savage Red Dragon King and the bold Gold Dragon King? The Red Dragon King had already been subdued. Buddhist Asian's words made Xiao Chen felt a bit flabbergasted. Someone went there and successfully subdued the Red Syndicate Dragon King. That's right. Buddhist Asian explained. That mysterious woman led Solitary Sword Demon and other experts to enter that region, under the guidance of the Amethyst Dragon King. They found the Red Dragon King. With the sacrifice of nearly 20 people, the Solitary Sword Demon finally subdued the Red Dragon King. How did he subdue it? Originally many practitioners wanted to subdue it by force, but they were unable to encircle the Red Dragon King. On the contrary, a few people were injured by it. Moreover, they angered the brutal monarch Lion Dragon, Saber Dragon, and other vicious dragons. As a result, we lost 7 to 8 people. Only a minority were able to come back, Buddhist Asian explained briefly. Xiao Chen couldn't help but heave a sigh after hearing these. The most formidable and terrifying creature in this world was still human after all. On the second attempt, the Solitary Sword Demon gathered more than 10 people. But the mysterious woman did not participate. First, they lured the Red Dragon King out of the dragon's holy land, and then they sent people to besiege it. The dozens of people were also seriously hurt under the counterattack of the Red Dragon King. In the end, never in their wildest dream had they thought the Solitary Sword Demon, who didn't make a move until then, would attack them. The dozens of people were killed by him with a single slash. Taking advantage of the situation, the Solitary Sword Demon built a relationship with the Red Dragon King as its savior. Soon after, he used all kinds of talent and arranged a few more drama before he finally pulled the Red Dragon King to his side. 3. Although the young Dragon Kings were intelligent, and the seal on the Dragon Island had no influence on them, they were still too young after all. How could their intelligence be comparable to the scheming humans? Roar. The dragon roar shook the heavens at a distant place. After that, the Solitary Sword Demon's hearty laugh was transmitted over. One could see him dashing over from the distant, with a Red Dragon King by his side. Why did you come here? Xiao Chen asked in confusion. Lawrence explained, it's what we planned in advance. Not only him, the owner of the Black Dragon King and Amethyst Dragon King will come too. We plan to work together to surround the Syndicate Dragon King in this region. The Solitary Sword Demon rushed over very quickly. The Red Dragon King beside him had blazing red flame throbbing all over its body. It flickered with divine light. Relatively speaking, the Red Dragon King might be the most competitive among the few Dragon Kings. Its eyes immediately gave off an ominous glint the moment it laid eyes on the Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King that were only a little smaller than it. It threw itself at them very fiercely. A fierce battle would occur every time a Dragon King encounter one another. As for the reason why the Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King could interact with each other peacefully, it was all thanks to Lawrence and Buddhist Asian. They tried to dispel their enmity unceasingly. The Red Dragon King fiercely threw itself over. The Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King also did not want to be outdone. They faced the savage Red Dragon King that was a little bigger than them together. Lawrence and Buddhist Asian stopped them hastily. This was not the right time to have internal conflict between these Dragon Kings. It would not be beneficial for anyone. However, not only did the Solitary Sword Demon did not stop the Dragon King, he was laughing heartily on the contrary. He was happy to see his Red Dragon King keeping the smaller Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King under control. He was proud and aloof. Not only was he vying for supremacy among his peers, his Dragon King was also like him. Just at this time, the little critter, who was sleeping soundly on Xiao Chen's shoulder, was roused up by the noise. It rubbed its big eyes half-consciously like a child and looked at everyone before it looked at the 3 Dragon Kings that was about to fight. Squeak. The snow-white little critter's big eyes immediately lit up. It had seen the Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King before, so it naturally recognized them. And it had also caught a glimpse of that savage Red Dragon King on that night. It scuttled with a swish and landed on the Red Dragon King's head in a flash. It was hopping and skipping on top of its head. It seemed to be exerting its strength to stamp on the head. This unforeseen event made everyone stunned, and on the other side, the Red Dragon King was stamping with fury. It was seriously about to burst with rage. It was more savage than the other Dragon King. Its temper was naturally worse than the other Dragon Kings. How could it allow an unknown little critter to let loose on its head? A pair of crimson dragon horn emitted a red lightning with a snapping sound. It wanted to eradicate Keek, but a ball of gentle light immediately wrapped Keek's body within. It didn't receive any damage. The little critter nimbly jumped onto the Red Dragon King's back. It was still hopping and skipping, exerting its strength to stamp the Red Dragon King. Of course, Keek was not really harming the Red Dragon King. It was just some kind of open provocation. Thinking about it carefully, the Amethyst Dragon King, Azure Dragon King, Jade Dragon King, and Black Dragon King had already been stepped by this snow-white little critter before. The Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King were just at the side. They were a little depressed, but they were more than happy to watch all of these unfold. They cheerfully watched the Red Dragon King being stamped by the weird little critter. 4. However, it seemed like Keek was really overdoing it this time. It kept stamping the Red Dragon King wildly. The Red Dragon King's magic attack was ineffective against it. Although it only knew a single confinement technique, that dazzling radiance was able to resist every attack. It gave the furious Red Dragon King no other choice, even if it was rolling on the ground violently to shake off the naughty Keek. The little critter was able to get on its back again with absolute speed. Only Xiao Chen knew why Keek was being this extreme. He guessed the little critter must be trying to uphold justice for the dying little dragon on that night. Keek, that's enough. Come back here. In the end, it was still Xiao Chen who grabbed Keek back. The solitary sword demon at the side was very dumbfounded. The haughty him seriously felt a bit depressed. A difficult-to-tame savage Red Dragon King actually lost to a snow-white little critter. It made him very upset. The other people were feeling very refreshed in their heart. Many people dared to get angry at him, but didn't dare to show it on the surface, because his power was really too high. Only a few among his peers would be able to get on his level. Just when everyone thought it was over, the Red Dragon King burst into a fit of rage. It rushed towards Keek. A few crimson energy blades were released from its pair of horns. Even Xiao Chen had been targeted. In fact, when confronting this kind of 1-meter-long young Dragon King, even 7th Celestial Layer experts like Xiao Chen didn't dare to be careless, because Syndicate Dragon King would become an existence even the deities wouldn't dare to provoke once they grow up. Even though they were very young now, they were still as powerful as 6th to 8th Celestial Layer. This was their inherent gift. People couldn't help but be frightened and envious of them. However, before Xiao Chen even made a move, Keek was already enraged. Although it was deliberately stamping the Red Dragon King before, it didn't really attack the Red Dragon King. But now the snow-white little critter waved its little paws seriously. 7-colored light screen was formed. Not only did it block the crimson energy blade, it also trapped the Red Dragon King with a whoosh. After that, the little critter waved its little paws again with no trace of politeness. With a swish, the Red Dragon King was tossed on top of a tall ancient tree. This outcome not only made the Red Dragon King bellowed in rage, it also made the Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King to look at each other. Many practitioners were also stupefied. Of course, those who had experienced the calamity of the ghost town were not too surprised, because they had seen Keek using its divine power before. The Azure Dragon King and Jade Dragon King growled. They rushed in front of Keek and let out a snarl unceasingly. It seemed like they were asking something. On the other side, Keek proudly waved its little paws and jumped onto Luanhui Wang's head. It was showing off by squeaking unceasingly. 1. It was a really astounding scene. A cute little critter became the focus of a few mystical dragon kings. Only Xiao Chen, Lawrence, Yang Qingcheng, the solitary sword demon, etc. knew why the 2 dragon kings were surrounding Keek and questioning it. From the mysterious woman and Amethyst Dragon King, everyone already knew Keek's divine ability was in fact the dragon's secret technique. A little critter that even knew about the dragon's secret technique. How could those who knows the inside story not be surprised? In the end, even though the Red Dragon King was still angry, it didn't try to attack Keek anymore. Finally, the little fatty oxman and that mysterious woman arrived in succession. The Amethyst Dragon King and Black Dragon King followed beside them. With the arrival of 2 more Dragon Kings, a fierce battle nearly broke out again between the few Dragon Kings. However, the Black Dragon King and Amethyst Dragon King had better self-restraint, and they were much more interested in Keek than the other few Dragon Kings. Those who knew the inside story realized they wanted to fight over Keek's sacred tree, but the little critter was not concerned in the least. Maybe the situation might not be as bad as we thought. The woman shrouded in colorful mist said to everyone, I have communicated with the Amethyst Dragon King. According to the legend of dragons, the ancestral dragon can undo the seal on this island, but it seemed like it must move away from the dragon island. That is to say, the ancestral dragon and dragon kings will eventually leave the dragon island. We don't need to force them. So long as we use an appropriate method, we might be able to reduce a lot of casualties. Lawrence, Buddhist Asian, the solitary sword demon, and Oxman communicated with their own dragon king and validated the news. Everyone could finally see a sliver of hope. So it turned out the future kings of dragon had to leave this place eventually. Perhaps the ancestral dragon divine ship was made for them. They had already gathered 5 dragon kings. They were already very close to 9 dragon kings. And when everyone realized where did Lawrence and Buddhist Asian's dragon kings came from, they couldn't help but feel like they were going to blow up. Their conjecture regarding Xiao Chen's dragon king cultivation plan at that time actually came true. It was pointless even if everyone felt jealous or envious. The dragons would go crazy and kill anyone who entered their territory if the grasses were so much as brushed by a little wind. It completely sealed their fancy to steal the dragon egg. In some kind of sense, it was much safer to surround and capture a young dragon king. After all, even if those dragons lost their divine ability, even if their brutality won over their divinity, they still had a godlike body. They were extremely fierce and terrifying. Everyone set off under the guidance of 5 dragon kings. On the other side, Xiao Chen did not follow them. Even though many people wanted to borrow Keek's power to capture the young dragon king, it was rejected by Xiao Chen. After all, when those dragon kings grow up, even deities wouldn't dare to provoke them. If he let Keek deal with them now, it was equivalent to setting up powerful enemies for Keek in the future. It was not because he failed to grasp the bigger picture, it was because with the participation of 5 dragon kings, dealing with 1 dragon king shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Of course, everyone did not really force him into it. A lot of people were scared that the demon that was following Xiao Chen would harm them. Everyone gradually distanced themselves. Qingguang Wang, Yang Lua Wang, and Luanhui Wang stayed behind and followed Xiao Chen again. The demon appeared in the forest. He looked at everyone's figure from behind and said, "I dare say they will fail this time. If it was a different dragon king, they might be able to catch it. But even 5 dragon kings won't be able to pin down the dragon king this time." Why? Don't tell me the legendary ancestral dragon finally appeared. Xiao Chen looked at him in shock. Although I have seen 11 dragon kings, I haven't seen the legendary ancestral dragon. Maybe it hadn't been born yet. What? There are actually as many as 11 dragon kings. Xiao Chen was very astonished. Of course, maybe there might be 1 or 2 more. However, to summon the divine ship, you guys only need 9 dragon kings. The demon's words confirmed the written records about the divine ship found by the old woman. Is that so? You still haven't answered my question, why 5 dragon kings wouldn't be able to pin down the dragon king they found this time? Xiao Chen looked at him in puzzlement. It was hard to imagine just what kind of dragon king would be able to deal with 5 syndicate dragon kings. Hehe, it is not because this dragon king is very powerful, it is because the ability it possesses now is not something the other dragon king can compare. Because it is the only one that can fly now, the other dragon king might need a long time before they can manifest a similar divine ability. Why is it so special? Don't tell me there is also a big gap in strength even among the dragon king. The demon laughed and shook his head, then he said, "No, this is the dragon king's innate ability, because this is a winged dragon king." Winged dragon king. Xiao Chen was very shocked. Because according to what he knows, the winged dragon was the only dragon that was not sealed. It seemed like there was only a single winged dragon on this dragon island that came from the outside. He still clearly remember how the fallen angel defeated and dropped the sacred dragon onto the dragon island. Could that be a female dragon and gave birth not long after it was forced onto the dragon island? This speculation might be very possible. Is that so? This is really too unexpected. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh. Just at this time, the roar of dragons and the practitioner's yell were transmitted from a distant mountain woods. It was very obvious that they found the tracks of the winged dragon king. Actually, if you guys find 1 more dragon king, you would have assembled 9 dragon kings already. The demon laughed faintly. What do you mean? Don't tell me other people had already subdued the dragon kings. Xiao Chen felt very excited. Of course, the other 3 dragon kings had already been subdued a long time ago. It would be more appropriate to say those 3 dragon kings were the very first to be subdued. Hearing these, Xiao Chen quickly thought of those first group of people who entered the depths of the island. It must be those group of older generation experts. You must have guessed it already, the older the ginger, the more spicy they are. Although they only have 30+ people, they are much stronger compared to youth like you. If it was not because of their greed and wanted to enter the dragon's sacred mountain to find the legendary ancestral dragon, they might have subdued even more syndicate dragon kings. This piece of news from the demon was very shocking. So it turns out they had almost gathered 9 dragon kings in total without realizing it. It means that they can finally see the hope of leaving this dragon island now. Leaving this dragon island is no longer a dream, it is already on the verge of success now. The demon laughed grimly and said, "Have you thought about it carefully? If you haven't, you might regret it for the rest of your life. I also don't want to kill you, why don't you stay on the dragon island and accompany me?" Keek, who was pretending to be asleep, jumped up angrily. It glared at the demon with its glittering big eyes. However, the little critter knew it didn't have an attack-type magic. It wouldn't be able to deal with the demon as it is now. Moreover, its confinement technique couldn't catch up to the demon's superb speed. On the other side, Xiao Chen sucked in a mouthful of fresh air. If everyone left, leaving him all alone on the dragon island, that would be very terrifying. These 3 skeletons. Their background is quite impressive. It seemed like the demon had only just noticed Qingguang Wang and the other 2 skeletons. His voice contained a hint of surprise. They must have just evolved recently. I have never seen them before. They actually evolved this quickly. How come they only awaken now after falling on the dragon island for so many years? To be praised by him like this, it was enough to tell how much potential the 3 of them possessed. He revolved around the 3 skeletons and said, "Don't tell me they have a bit of history in their past life. They can evolve into Sovereign King." Xiao Chen opened his mouth and said. He wanted to listen to the demon's commentary, so that he could understand more about the 3 skeletons' future potential. 2. Sovereign King. Heh. That's a little exaggerated. Even if the departed souls and undead creatures evolved to the peak stage, how many could actually break through to Sovereign King since ancient times? Sovereign King is an existence equivalent to the Dragon King. Don't look at the undead emperor in the Deathly Swamp. He is still 108,000 miles away from a genuine Sovereign King. The demon's words immediately gave Xiao Chen a whole new understanding of the Sovereign King's power, but he was a bit puzzled and asked, "When I was in the ghost town before, I saw the skull of a few Sovereign King. If they were that powerful, how did they die within the ghost town?" "Impossible." The demon said with certainty, "Sovereign King can only be sealed, it is impossible to kill them." "Oh, now that you mentioned it, the dozen of you were only that powerful, and yet you were able to escape from the ghost town. It was indeed a miracle. They had a complete lotus flower insignia on their skull. Don't tell me they were not Sovereign Kings." "Far from it." The demon let out a cold snort and didn't say anything else. Just at this time, the dragon roar at the distant mountain woods gradually got further away. Xiao Chen wanted to witness the result with his own eyes. He turned around to take a quick look at the demon before he took large strides towards that mountain woods. This time the demon did not follow him. The mountain woods was filled with broken branches and withered leaves. It was very obvious that a big battle took place in this region. The majority of the people already left. Only Lawrence and Isian's group was still searching in the vicinity. It was a winged dragon king. That little dragon was really too fast. It only exchanged a few blows with the other dragon kings before it soared into the sky. Lawrence felt a bit helpless and heaved a sigh. Then he continued, "We felt it was very strange when we found its trail before, because it was really too fast in the thick forest. We only knew it was a silver-colored dragon king. We never thought it actually had a pair of wings. This outcome was really unexpected. After all, winged dragon couldn't be regarded as powerful among the various dragon races. But a dragon king just had to show up from this kind of race. This gave everyone no choice but to believe the legend. The dragon kings could rise from any dragon race. Even the weakest dragon had the possibility of giving birth to the ancestral dragon." A weak growl transmitted from not far away. It sounded like a wounded beast. The instant Xiao Chen turned his head, he exposed a shocked expression. He actually saw that dark brown little dragon again, that tenacious, stubborn, and proud little dragon. Presently, it was surrounded by a pool of blood. The flowers and plants below its body were stained by the blood. It couldn't bear the sharp pain, and let out a growl. Keek's big eyes also widened right away. It dashed over there with a swish. Xiao Chen felt it was a little unbelievable, The last time he saw the little dragon fought with two dragon kings, it was already on the verge of dying, because its chest was cut open, even the internal organs could be seen through the wound. It was hard to imagine how it could have survived that. Walking over there, he found that the wound the little dragon received last time was almost fully recovered, but it received another fatal wound. There was a huge bloody hole situated at its neck and the pair of ribs were almost pierced. According to common sense, this kind of injury means certain death. Such a weird little dragon. When we got over here, it was actually fighting with the winged dragon king. Although it was defeated in the end, this little dragon was quite courageous. It actually has the guts to fight with the kings of dragons. Lawrence heaved a sigh at the side. This video will end here.